Hello, how's it going, and welcome back to another Triple D video. This video is going to be focused on the gameplay, but I am going to briefly talk about the decks I'll be using. This is my Sealed Tombs build. Sealed Tombs is a very useful skill in this format, and this deck has 9 ways to trigger it. Sealed Tombs also works good with Witch and Treacherous. For example, it stops impact and navigation. You can also pop Alistair on Chainlink 2 when they use Invocation, because under Sealed Tombs they are forced to fuse with their field or their hand. I think Cosmic is better than Swamp King here, because it's a lot faster at triggering Sealed Tombs, and although Swamp King is a really good extender, Cosmic Cyclone is very strong spot removal. This is the Master of Fusion build. The only differences are Sphere-Kuriboh over Witch, and because of the skill, Ragnarok over a second Synchro. This build is from Drizzles and 3D, I just added in Ragnarok. With Master of Fusion, I think it comes up a lot more than the second Alexander. And then this is my balance build. Swamp King is better in balance because there's less engine cards, making the extender quite important. When there's a skill like Master of Fusion or Sealed Tombs, then Cosmic Cyclone is better in my opinion. Bakura with no skill makes me think Compensation or Draw Sense Dark or something like that. There's no obvious indication as to what it could be. The top deck gate there definitely fixes the hand a lot. And the question here now is whether using Sealed Tombs is correct or not. Given that there's no obvious way that he can interact with his graveyard on the next turn, it's probably best to hold on to it. Especially if this is Shiranui. Because if it is Shiranui, then it's better to hold on to it for the Spectral Sword follow-up. With a hand like this, the best thing to search first is always Pendragon, because it sets up Typhon and Howl very nicely for the next turn. Night Beam is interesting. They caught my Witch with a Night Beam. It's worth mentioning that I can chain Cosmic here, and then chain Witch, and then Witch won't be destroyed. But since I only have 3000 life points, I have no idea what's in his hand or face down. That seems very risky. Second Night Beam, so he went first with 2. He is yet to play the card he's drawn for his turn. It is a Shiranui deck. I'm still not sure what his skill could be. The card he drew for his turn is likely a trap. From the delays, I'm guessing Ballista Squad or Fiendish Chain. I'm going to do the search before Cosmic Cyclone, because if I do Cosmic first and that's a Ballista, he will 100% stop my search. But by doing the search first, he has to evaluate what the rest of my hand is before deciding whether to use Ballista or not. If that is a Ballista, he might have used it anyway because the delays tell him that I have a trainable card in my hand. But at the same time, 3 Cosmic is quite unlikely, so he might have gone with it being something like Chalice or Econ. That is not in the slightest what I was expecting. I'm not going to BM here, but as you can see I do have the option to use Sealed Tombs and summon a third monster. The meta deck that most commonly uses Yami Yugi is Destiny Draw Element Saber Invoked. And that is revealed to be the opposing deck here as the Malehu touches down. The win condition here is hoping that he doesn't hold his Malehu effect until the battle phase, because in doing so he can survive my push and then potentially follow up with Alistair. Alexa kind of gives it away, but if he doesn't expect Master of Fusion, then he's more likely to be conservative with the effect of Malehu. If he does decide to use Malehu before the battle phase, it will be to stop me making Alexander to stop me getting a summon off Genghis, at which point Master of Fusion then makes lethal. That's why him expecting Master of Fusion would make this a lot harder if he's able to follow up with Alistair on the next turn. He doesn't expect Master of Fusion, and now I can go for game. It doesn't matter if you get Slime or Typhon with Howl here, because Typhon's already been sent this turn. The way this will work is Master of Fusion will fuse off for 2 monsters that aren't Howl to make a D-Arc. Because D-Arc is level 7, itself and Night Howl make an Alexander. Then Typhon can make Beowulf, and in doing so, the Alexander can then revive the D-Arc. I personally prefer Sealed Tombs, but Master of Fusion is really good at being able to do these extra plays, especially against decks that play cards like Canadia and Floodgate Trap Hole. Because even if they know that you play Master of Fusion, you can sometimes force their back row with Pendragon. Master of Fusion is also very nice if you only have one slime. I prefer Sealed Tombs because of how good it is in this format, but Master of Fusion definitely has a lot of likeable things to it. In the current meta, I think Sealed Tombs is my favourite skill to use with this deck, but I still value Master of Fusion quite highly. The Sealed Tomb set 3 spells Dark Magician. The delays there are an indication of navigation and or cosmic. It will be edited out, but he was thinking for quite a while on his first turn, which means his hand likely isn't too great. Luckily for him, I only have one gate. Had he chained it to the search, it would have stopped me from using another. I find that people are more likely to make that mistake if you set the contract first. That's why I often set it and then flip it, as well as it also checks for delays. Because there are no delays, we can tell that if he does have navigation, there is no Dark Magician in the hand. There was no delay on his draw and standby phase, but there was a delay as soon as he played that monster. The hourglass was lit up for a little bit longer than it normally would. This means the card he just played face down is Clash, or one of his face down cards is Treacherous, or both. Under sealed tombs, there isn't much extending to do in this scenario. The most we can do is make Beowulf with Swamp King, but that doesn't really seem worth it. It feels better to just stack up on resources for next turn. Adding slime is likely the best thing to do because that gives us a lot more good top decks if we somehow get board wiped. Because the hourglass did not flash, there were no delays, which means no face down treacherous. And he scoops it up.